Hey guys, welcome to Shixak Academics. Today I am not here with a tutorial video, but I think that this is equally essential. Now, if you're like a content creator for YouTube, or you're trying to build your own website or launch your own e-commerce platform, or maybe you're a student who is taking a professional computer course, the first thing that you really need to know is what goes on inside a computer, what are the different kind of components there are. And if you are trying to build your own computer or buy a new computer, these things are very, very necessary for you to know. So today in this video, we'll be discussing a lot about that. And I'm going to show you my own desktop and the different components that I use. So without any further delay, let's start. Most of the time when we say that we are using a computer, what we really mean is that we are using the input and output devices that are connected to a computer. For example, while watching a movie, we might be seeing it in something like this, which is a screen or a monitor. We might be using keyboard to type some stuffs or mouse to point at different objects that are displayed on the screen. We might get a document printed from a printer or listen to a song using our speakers or use a game controller to play a game, or maybe chat with someone using a microphone. So all of these things are nothing but peripherals that are connected to the computer. These are called as input and output devices. For example, keyboard, mouse, microphone, game controller, these are input devices, whereas this monitor, the speakers, the printers, these are output devices. While what we know as the computer is actually inside a box like this, which is sitting on the side. Now many people call this as a CPU, but which is not actually the correct term for calling this. This is more like a cabinet that contains the CPU inside it. The cabinet consists of different types of components that make up the entire computer. One of the most noticeable piece of hardware that you can find inside the cabinet is the motherboard. Now the motherboard is called so because all the other hardware is connected to the motherboard, and this is responsible for enabling the communication between the hardware components and the central processing unit. Now the central processing unit, it sits right in the middle of the motherboard. It's like the brain of the computer, and it is responsible for carrying out all the different logical operations that are necessary for our programs to run. While the programs are executing, it requires a memory to read and write intermediate information. It requires the memory to be very fast so that there is no delay in the processing. This is where a RAM comes in, or a random access memory. So whatever is stored in this memory is only alive till the system is turned on. Once it turns off, everything from this vanishes. So this can only be used during the execution of the program, and data cannot be stored in this for longer periods of time. Now inside motherboards, you can see there are lots of slots where this RAM can fit. This motherboard in particular has 8 different slots. So 8 different slots of 8 gigabytes of memory gives me 64 gigabytes of memory for the programs to use during the execution. So RAMs are well and good during the execution of the program. They are very efficient, very fast, and can respond to the real-time use case scenarios. But if you want to store information for a longer period of time, and even after the machine shuts down, they are of no use. That's where our other storage options come into play. So these are the secondary storage devices. This is, for example, a hard disk, which is one of the cheapest solutions available out there. This has a mechanical disk which is spinning inside, and because of its mechanical nature, it is prone to failures. However, these are very cheap as compared to the other options that are available. We do not always have to go for hard disks which are this big. We also have smaller options available. So these hard disks are generally used in laptops, but it can also be bought for desktops. But again, all of these hard disks are very slow as compared to the other storage options as well. The second storage options that is available to us are something called SSDs. Now these are very lightweight SSDs, does not contain any kind of mechanical part and have a much lesser probability of failures, but these have a much higher price as compared to the storage options available to us. For example, we have a 240 gigabytes and a 500 gigabytes SSD here, as compared to the hard disks that we shown before. These are like 1 terabytes and 2 terabytes. The third option that is available to us is insanely fast and is like the state of the art in today's scenario. and which is called the nvme SSD. It is very tiny and it is directly embedded inside the motherboard, and it is not connected via any kind of cables. So this is like a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. These are very fast, and in most of the cases we try to keep the operating system on the SSD so that we have faster run times. However, if you want to transfer data from one computer to another computer, you cannot really use these because these are fixed with the computer that we are using. For that, we need to use external storage options. Some of the common external storage options are pen drives, which I am sure you are very much familiar with. And other than that, so these are like external hard disks, and this is like an external solid state drive or external SSDs. Both of these can serve as an option for transferring data from one computer to another. These are some of the most important components that are inside the cabinet. However, there is one more thing which is important if you are some kind of content creator or graphic designer or 3D modeling artist or a game developer or even a gamer. This is something which is called as the graphics processing unit or a GPU. Now, these graphics processing units were traditionally built for displaying things on your monitor. However, recently this has found more use in several types of graphics oriented applications, such as I said before, 3D modeling, video editing, any kind of content creation, Photoshop, Illustrator, and also in several applications in the field of, say, artificial intelligence and machine learning. Like the other hardwares, the graphics processing unit is also connected to the motherboard. When it comes to graphics card, you have two main options. One is the NVIDIA graphics card, the other one is the AMD graphics card. If you are using it for 3D applications or video editing or content creation, both of these will serve you well. However, if you are into the research area, for example, working in the field of, say, artificial intelligence, machine learning, building neural networks, then you should go for the NVIDIA graphics card because it comes with something called the CUDA API, which enables you to use this for writing your programs. We have had a short discussion about these different types of hardwares, but like any other electronic component, this requires electricity to run. So let us shift our focus to these. These are something which is called the SMPS or the switch in mode power supply. Now, as you can see, this SMPS has lots of ports behind them, and these ports can deliver power to the different hardware components. Now, we have three different SMPS here. What it means is that these have different level of wattage. For example, this is a 500 watt SMPS, this is a 850 watt SMPS, and this is a 1250 watt SMPS. What it means is that it will be able to deliver power up to the said wattage. Now, a simple low-end system can work well with a 450 or 500 watt SMPS, but if you are using a graphics processing unit, you should go at least till 800 or 850 watts. And if you are using multiple graphics processing units, you should go to something beyond 1000 watts. We all know that anything that uses electricity will also generate heat. So we have different types of cooling options available for us as well. We have standard fans which can be fit in the cabinets to provide airflow. We have bulky coolers that can be slapped on top of the CPU or the other types of hardware that will provide additional cooling. And we can also use some advanced things like a liquid cooler as well, which basically serves as the personal AC for the different components. Now, if you're inclined to go ahead and buy your own desktop, very good, but you need to take care that there is a lot of compatibilities involved while choosing the different components. I'll give you one short example. So this processor, this is the Intel i7 6th generation processor, and it will only fit in motherboards which have a specific type of socket. For example, this processor has a socket called LGA 2011 version 3, and this motherboard also has a socket of LGA 2011 version 3, and it won't fit in any different type of motherboard with a different type of socket, and hence this compatibility has to be considered while buying the hardware. Other than that, while buying RAMs, you might want to consider the different amount of speeds that it come in and the number of RAMs that can be bought. Again, the number of RAMs you can use depends on the number of RAM slots that you have in the motherboard. There is not much restriction when it comes to hard disks, but different types of hard disks come with different grade of reliability. For example, this is a standard Western Digital Blue hard disk, which is very commonly used and very cheap, but the gold edition, this is mostly used in data centers and is much more reliable. SSDs also come in different memory sizes and different speeds, and so does NVMe SSDs. Now, again, another thing is that if you want to use something like an NVMe SSD, you need to ensure that there is a port in your motherboard that can support. For example, a port would look something like this, where this NVMe SSDs can fit. While buying graphics processing units, you need to consider whether you want to buy from NVIDIA or AMD. Again, this has some specific support issues. Graphics processing units are mostly connected via PCI Express lanes. Now, a motherboard can have one or multiple PCI Express lanes, but that does not mean that you can use as many number of graphics cards. The graphics card should be compatible with each other. Moreover, your CPU also has a capability about how many different graphics cards you can use. For example, the two CPUs I have here, one has 24 PCI lanes, the other has 40 PCI lanes. What it means is that the one with the 40 PCI lanes will be able to support more number of graphics cards or more number of PCI lanes simultaneously. Anyways, this is like a summary of the different components that are inside your computer. I hope that this has helped to some extent. We can have more discussions about this as I try to build this PC perhaps. But till then, if you are liking this video, press the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this, and for future notifications, don't forget to click on the bell icon. Comment, share with your friends, and till then, goodbye and peace out.